We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Women Empowered Across the World, our podcast. And we have several hosts on today, and they're from many different walks of life and many different countries. And so I'm just going to have them introduce themselves and say where they're from. And then we have the most amazing guest on today, Suzy. And she's from Cameroon, but she is now living in the US. And guys, she has a little bit of a voice issue today. So I'm turning up the volume so we can really be inspired by her story, because get ready. Okay, so my name's Carol Witt, and I'm global, guys. I run a program called YEA Global, and I'm all over everywhere. I'm in 52 countries. So, um, anyway, next person who wants to introduce themselves? Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie Zaccoli, and though I'm located in Arizona, I too am global, with a high focus on Africa and all the countries therein.
Awesome. And Wumi.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you all. And my name is Wumi Peters, Nigeria. Yeah.
Awesome. And Alina.
Hello, everyone. Hello again. My name is Alina Pelka. I am the founder and president at Yorgas Foundation, headquartered in Poland, but working in Malawi and other countries of Africa.
Okay. And Bylan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bailan Mahina, the founder of Global Dream Makers based in San Francisco, but I focus a lot on the Philippines and Asia.
Wonderful. All right. So now all we have to do is we want to bring on our guest, and Suzy, come and share your story with everyone.
Thank you so much, Carol, for giving me the floor. I'll start by saying I'm Suzy. I am the CEO and founder of iCode Expo Inc. Global. And we are actually right now in 22 countries, and 18 of them are in Africa. Because we run the program called iCode Expo Africa, and we are more than 5,000 youths around the world, farmers especially. And it's a pleasure for me to be on this um, amazing platform for women. And yeah, time to show the stories of leaders in the different fields, women. So I'll start a little bit about me. I actually grew up in Yaoundé, Biemasi in Cameroon. I have my father has a huge family. It's a very big family. My mother has 9 children, and I think I'm the last girl. And yeah, so I grew up in this community where I think my parents did a great job of putting that mindset in me of that everything is possible compared to a lot of people back home. The parents always tell them go to work, get a job, and that's it. Have your house, get married, and that's all for you. But I think my mother did a good job of telling me, you can be that entrepreneur, that big businesswoman you always say you will be. You can be that. And I always tell my mom that, and that at a certain age, I always say that at a certain age, the plane will be my taxi. And she was always laughing. She was like, "This is my real businesswoman." And so that mentality from childhood, like since 10, I always say that to my mom. And that mentality, she's like, "I see in you a businesswoman, a woman, and in the way you do, I like." Even I go to school, sometimes they are not allowed to sell, but I always like doing business. I cannot stay without doing business. So I used to sell things and always do things when I was young. And I think I always had that passion for computer science. I'm like, I want to do computer science. And I think my father was like, no, you don't. You should do banking and finance, because back home we like everything is connection. I had my uncle that was on a bank, and my father was like, you have to do banking and finance, you go and work in a bank. And I told my father, I don't like banking and finance. I like to be the behind the computer like you, because my father is a computer scientist too. And he was like, you have to do banking and finance. I think he insisted so much, and my mother was like, "This is my child." So I decide if whatever she wants to do, she's gonna do it. And though I went to a French speaking school, even though I went to an English speaking high school, middle school, and elementary, but I finally for the college I went to a French speaking school. So I had to go and take my college level classes as a software engineer in French. I think it was hectic, but my mother, she's the best. She really paid all the extra classes I need to be able to succeed, and I succeeded with flying colors. And as from there, I always had that mindset of I want to help the people of my generation.
Mm.
I knew I didn't have much. My parents are not billionaires. They have I always say they have the street minimum, depending on how you look at it. But I always had that mindset of I want to give more. But the only way to give more, I knew that I had to learn more to be able to give more. So I decided, I remember I told my mom that I want to go to the US to further my studies. And she was like, the US we go. You want to go US, then US we go. And I think she made everything possible.
Mm.
And I finally flew in the US where I did my master's in education because I always said though I have that expertise in software engineering, I want to be able to share knowledge and impact other people. But the only way to do that is to actually go and learn. And during that transit, that was the best period of my life because once I came to the US, I think I discovered myself, the real potential in me. Because back home there was a lot of negativity. How can I say that? Because a lot of people were like, you're grown up, either get married, find a job. Your sisters are married, your cousins are married. What are you doing? And I always tell them that I need to be that businesswoman before my husband find me. And they always laugh at me. But I was like, okay, no problem. And so for once I traveled to the US, I got this idea of Code Expo because it was in me. I wanted to be able to train the youth in software engineering. So I started this program called Code Expo in the US in West Virginia, where I was going to school, doing my master's, and I was going to high school to train youth and middle school to train youth how to code. And it was an amazing program. And I think I went to two schools and we're training youth. And then I remember my mentor, the one I used to work for, because in my lifetime I've worked for a lot of NGOs because I love volunteering. And so he told me that you have worked for a lot of NGOs, at least 5 NGOs in agriculture. Why don't you think of having a part of your create an NGO in agriculture instead of an NGO just focus in technology? And I was like, you're right, because I really, really love agriculture. And I remember we took like it was a whole week of like ideas. I looked for the name for like 2 weeks, just giving names, giving it. And I told him, and with he knows that with me, I never say there's no money. Once the idea is there, I just go out. Money is not a limitation for me. I don't wait for the money to come. I always know that once I have the idea, the money will follow. So I got the idea, and after 2 weeks later, I think I finally got the name called AgriCode Expo, and which is all about enhancing agriculture in ICT. So when I started AgriCode Expo, this is a story a lot of people don't know. Is that when I started AgriCode Expo, I was my mentor, and I was working with him. But I remember one day he told me that project was his because he helped me in it, and I was like, no, it cannot be yours. I had the idea. It is part of Code Expo. Like the name came from, like I wrote the plan and I wrote this. And he said, I remember he said, I just want to tell the story because you always find challenges, but how do you overcome them as a young person, especially a woman? So I remember he's an elder person. He has been in countries, and I have been in the US and only like 3 or 4 countries in Africa. So I did not know much people, and I was just there. And I remember he told me, I don't know, you cannot do without me. That's what he told me. And I took it as a challenge. I told him that I'll prove to you that I can do without you even more than with you. And I took AgriCode Expo. I remember I said AgriCode Expo with I wrote this program. There was this girl in Nigeria that saw me presenting in one of his program because I was working for him, volunteering for him, and said, "Oh, I really like the way you talk and your mindset. Can you train certain youth in my company, in my NGO in Nigeria?" They're online. I was like, oh yes, I can do that. So remember, I paid for the Zoom, paid for everything, did the flyer because I'm a web designer too. Did the flyer, did everything, organized a training. Nobody came at the training. Only one person came, and that person was not even from that woman company, that company of that woman, and the person was from Kenya actually. That's all my posts on my status. I actually came for the training. I remember the first day, it was a 4-day training on web design. The first day, I trained that one person as if there was 1,000 people in the hall. I gave my best to that one person. The next day, I posted it on LinkedIn. And the next day, 3 people came to the training, and I still gave my best as if I was training 1,000 people. And we did that for the 4 days training. I was still consistent, no matter how discouraging it was that I was organizing a training either for an NGO, and nobody came. Nobody from the NGO came, but I was still doing it. I think I did the 4 days training. At the end of the training, I think altogether only 10 people came for the training, but I still did the training to the end. And then a week later, I launched another 3 days training in web development. Now with nobody partnering, I was like, I want to teach the youth. That's my main aim. It's not about having a population. Like, the people that are ready for the knowledge will come to the knowledge. So I posted that 3 days training on web development. And the first day I had 10 people, and I was like, these 10 people is a progress from the first time I had only one person. And I had 10 people. The next day, I think I had 8, and I invited a guest to speak. I guess I know that on his own company. And then he spoke. And then the next, I remember the third day I had 15 people. But after that program, that is where everything started. Because amongst those 15 people, there was a man that brought 1,000 people later than in agriculture. So I remember I was in my agriculture expo group. We were just 10 of us. And I was even begging my friends. I remember begging my friends back home that, please just join the, I was begging them. I remember begging everybody that, please join the group, join the group. And they were like, no, I'm not interested. I'm like, I really want to launch this NGO. It's for the youth. Like, my heart cry is the youth. It's not about the money. I'm spending my own money doing the internet. I'm spending my own money buying the Zoom every month. All I want is for people to be available to get the knowledge I want to give out. And they were like, we don't want to do anything for free. So everybody left. So I was there. And finally in the group, even the person that I got asked me to start the training, she left. So finally in the group, we left 5 of us. But amongst those 5 people, there was one man, as I said. And he said, I remember he came to me, he's actually from Nigeria. I remember he came to me and he said, do I have the permission to invite other people to join the group? I'm like, yes, of course, you have the permission to do that. He's like, okay, thank you. So he invited, and then before I knew it, in the group, we were 1,000 people. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I organized another training, to tell the people that this is where we are. And I said there was a lot of big personality in the group, and I was so happy that he grew up this fast. And then I think is all about God and how he does things. I think he put in my head that, what about having country coordinators? Since you already have a lot of these people, why do you want to still base the training on your knowledge? What about giving the opportunity to others to train too about their field of expertise? Since you're focusing on farmers and you're not a farmer yourself, let the farmers come and train the farmers. And I was like, this is a good idea. So I started bringing up, I was doing everything, social media, flyer, everything. So I brought up the idea of, if you're a farmer and you want to show all your expertise, come and I will organize a training. You just say answer present. I will do the invitation and everything. You just share and answer present. And so it started like this, and it started growing. We came from 1 country to 5. Before we know, we were in 10 and 15. It was just exploding, and a lot of people were joining, and a lot of other NGOs were like, I want you to train in this country, this country, this country, this country. It was exploding. But it all started with one person. So it was really, really, I could have been discouraged at the beginning and saying, no, I don't want to do this. I don't have the money. Because a lot of people, when you come to them with the idea, they says, do you have money to finance the youth? I'm like, I might not have the money, but I have the knowledge that can give them money. A lot of people do not want it. They wanted the finished product without the byproduct. So I could not give them the finished product. I could only give them the byproduct. But certain youth actually believed in the idea and said, okay, I attended one of her training. It's true she doesn't give us money, but the knowledge she gave me made me I could start a business in the tech field. I could actually do my own website and sell my own product. I can now do my own flyer and sell myself. And I really like it. And so that's how people started coming. And now we started organizing. We went from online training to in-person training. Once we had the country coordinators, we started planting trees in countries, Sierra Leone, Kenya, Ghana. It started spreading like this. The country coordinator were doing an amazing job and actually receiving funding there. on to do all these things. And so, and the idea I was bringing at ICOD Expo, ICOD Expo was that I want the youth to know that in them there is that leadership potential, that you just need to let it out, express it. It's not about the money. It is not. I always tell people that since I started ICOD Expo, I have not asked for one grant. But ICOD Expo is going from places to places, expanding. And I love Jackie because I always say it's all about meeting the right people. And with Jackie, we open the environment to meeting the right people at the right time that will expand the business, expand the ideas, and really bringing youth at that place of focus of, especially in Africa. As from Africa myself, I can say it. I had a chance to have a mother that believed in me so much that she could allow me do all what I did and still support me, but others don't have that privilege. So I always said to myself, I want to give them that mentality. You can do everything. You can do everything as long as you have the right mindset and you believe in yourself. Because once I came to the US, my mother could not finance me as much as she did when I was back home. It was about me. I had to stand on my feet and make things work. And I did. And I think she's very proud of me and very proud of the work she did in me. And that's the same thing I want to tell others, that even though you don't have a mother, let this idea give you the hope of, I can be that person. I can start my business without 0 francs, without any money, $0. I can do it. I can go to places. And now ICOD Expo is registered in the US and other countries, and we have country coordinator. And in Nigeria, I always say in Nigeria we have country and state coordinators in every state of Nigeria. And Nigeria has 36 states. In the same thing in Sierra Leone, every county in Sierra Leone, we do have a coordinator. That makes altogether in Sierra Leone, there is more than 100 leaders by themselves that are only coordinators of their zone before the other people, before the other youths you can find in the group. So by that idea, it helped. First of all, unleash their leadership potential. A lot of the country coordinators did not know how powerful they were before they joined ICOD Expo. And I saw some of them. I remember we had an event in the 250 tree planting in Kenya. Remember, the country coordinator told me I cannot do it. I told him that we are going to do that event and you're going to lead the event and the youth are going to come to the event. He says, but this is 2 days to the event. No youth is there. And I'm like, we are doing that event, even if only you that is going to plant those 250 trees. And finally, on the day of the event, we had more than 30 youth that showed up for the event and the whole community was there. And from that moment, since he did that event, he has been doing wonderful in Kenya. I just see him in all the schools. Like that leader just pop out from everywhere and see him everywhere impacting the youth. And I tell him that my joy is not even because you're carrying Agriculture Expo to those places, even if it's not Agriculture Expo. My joy is that I was able to show you the real you through that one program or to those programs that you actually organize in Kenya. And that's what Agriculture Expo is doing. And we are going from places to places. We just launched a new program called ICOD Expo Africa, bringing youth back to the farmland, but I call it in a Gen Z way. Gen Z is the new generation, but in the new generation manner, we are not going to do farming the old way. We are going to do farming in a new generation manner to attract the people, the youth of that in this generation to farming. And we also launched a program, School of Purpose, because that is what is the main aim. With the few examples I gave with my leaders, you can see once they found their purpose, their leadership potential has no stop. They are doing amazing things even without money. Why not replicate this to other youth? Having that mindset of I can generate my own organ. I don't need to work for the government all the time. It's not about going to school, getting money from feeding my family, and it's just stay with me. How can I spread and become that mighty tree that bear fruit and give and feed the community, not only the community, the nation, not only the nation, the whole world. So we are having this training of finding your purpose. So you enter in the program with what is my purpose, and you go out with the program with I know what is my purpose. Then once you're out of the program, you go to ICOD Expo Africa for those in farming. You say, okay, I know that my purpose is to plant tomatoes. Then you meet mentors that says, this is how we plant tomatoes. This is how we do this. This is how we do this to ease the work for you. And then we've just brought up a new program that I was very excited to share that is called harvest heroes, because we do have these very successful farmers in our communities. And I thought of, why not promote them to the world? We already have that community of people around the world. Why not promote them? So Harvest Heroes is all about the untold stories of extraordinary farmers. And the idea actually came from Carol. And I always say thank you for inviting me to this podcast, because it's because of this podcast that I had the idea of, why not tell the story of people, of the farmers in Aiko Expo too. So we are going to start the podcast very soon. I think we just launched a song of the podcast recently. We are going to start it, and it will be an opportunity to meet these amazing farmers that started from zero and end up being a hero. Thank you. That is all about me, and
Wow.
yeah, I'm ready for questions.
Oh my goodness. I am so, so excited, Suzy, that you and I are collaborating and that my youth are going to go to your program after they finish my youth empowerment program. And your youth are going to come to mine. We are going to work together and really build um, our future leaders.
Yeah.
We've got to champion their spirits right now because they are our future leaders. They are the ones that are going to take things, create amazing things for this planet. So I want to champion every one of those young people's spirits to be bold leaders in their communities and their life. So exciting and so inspiring what you have done. So I have a question for you. So my question is this, I teach all about mindset, limited mindset, and how we operate from it, and how we don't even know we're operating from it. And then I teach how a limited mindset, you don't have to do anything. It's always just there. It's automatic. But a thriving mindset, you have to actually create it. So, you have gone through some real challenges. Okay. How did you get yourself back to a thriving mindset? Because that's what created the actions. The limited mindset did nothing for you, but the thriving mindset moved you forward. How did you get yourself back when you started seeing, oh, this is hard, or this, you had expectations and they didn't get met. How did you get yourself back?
I thank you for that question. I think the center of it all was my first picture. The first picture I had of Icon Expo. The first picture I had of Icon Expo in my mind was that program that is going to go to countries and impact youth. And I stood on that picture no matter what I saw, and I'm saying I am standing on that first idea. What did I first see? Before launching the program, before even having the logo and all this, when I got the name, the first thing I saw was that program that is going to go nations and impact the youth. So I stood on that idea, and I stood on it, and I still stand on it, that no matter what I see in my head, no matter what the present shows me in my head, all I see is that first picture. So it doesn't move me. Even though sometimes I get frustrated, I always go back to that first picture. Like, what did you see at the beginning? This is what we are seeing, and we are not gonna let it go. Actually, I write it on the wall. Like, I literally bought a world map and I pasted it in my office. It's a mirror world map. So it's a mirror in a world map shape. So I put it on the wall of my office, and every day I wrote Aiko Expo in it on it. So every day I see myself there, I'm like, this is what I see. No matter what people are saying or fighting at the back, what I see, I'm very focused on the picture I saw at the beginning, and I really painted a picture of it, and I keep seeing it again and again. That keep my mentality strong, even when there's a lot of challenges. The truth is, if you don't find challenges, then there's a problem. The truth is, there's a lot of challenges, especially when you're young, and worse when you're a woman and you are leading all these very old people. There's some people I work with that are 60 years old. Like, I think I'm the youngest of my community. And how can you be the youngest of communities, and you talk to fathers, uncles, very old people, and they sit and listen to you? Just know that you have to stand strong, because if you don't stand strong, they'll bring you down. So I just keep my mindset on that picture of the world, and I go to my office all the time. So because I have it at home, I go to my office all the time. I look at the mirror. I'm like, this is what I see. We should not change our mindset, no matter if you're a woman, no matter if I'm young. I do not care. I don't see that. and they don't see that because I don't see that. So we are going to places. Thank you for the question.
Always look for that bigger picture. The bigger picture. Yeah. Oh, and when you reach that bigger picture, you get bigger.
Yeah.
Your vision gets way, way bigger. I love that.
Thank you.
It will drive you. It will drive you. All right. Who else has a question for Suzy? Yeah, Alina.
Yes, because we want to empower women. Suzy, so my question is, did you face any obstacles as a young woman in your field? And yes, how did you overcome them?
Thank you so much, Alina, for that question, because that is one of the biggest challenge I actually faced, because I was a woman and a woman in tech, in such a field that is not even farming, and having a farming project. It was so difficult. A lot of people did not actually believe in me and always thought that the CEO was my mother or something older than me. That was just the assistant. A lot of people still think that when I speak to them, there's like, no way, that is this little girl that is managing this whole big thing. Like, you just hear the name is so powerful, but when you see the person doesn't match the name because she's just so little and physical, but my brain is not. And to let myself being to let myself being expressed in front of people, and old people, especially men. Like 90% of my communities is men. Like in the 4,000, like 360 something are men. 3,060 something are men. So how can I to be able to drive that mindset, first of all, because people will talk to you, people will talk about it out loud. You are not in a time where people talk in your back. They really tell you what it is. Say it to you. And I think I always tell my leaders that no matter what you see, that's not what I see. You might just see a woman, a little girl, especially, and you'll be like, oh, she doesn't know anything. And I think a lot of people actually said that to me, that when they first saw me, they thought I didn't know anything till they attended my first training. They said, I remember a lot of mothers said, I sat down. I said, who is this girl that all people can sit down for 2 hours and listen without complaining? And at the end, ask question. And I said, this is just a girl that found her purpose, and nothing can stop her once you find it. So that is what I have to answer for that question. Thank you, Alina.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Suzy.
Who else has a question for Suzy? Yes. Go ahead, Wumi. You are muted.
Hi, Suzy, thank you so much. And okay, so I like the fact that you started your story back home from Cameroon, and of course Africa. We have like a very similar background as regards our parents and society, environment, stopping, especially young ladies. And thank you for giving us the backstory that your parents supported you, and then of course you went to the US, and US gave you more opportunity. But did you think if you had stayed back, would you have, as a woman, as a young lady, of course, the expectation, go to school, get married, there's a lot of limitation for young women in Africa. Did you think you would have carried that same mindset if you were back home?
Thank you, Wimi, for that question. That is a very important question. And the answer I will give you is yes, because back home already, I cannot even tell people how many companies I've launched already by myself. I launched at least 5 companies back home. I launched, it failed. I launched, it failed. That's what my mother said. I don't know where you get the strength to stand up back when it falls down. I remember so many times I launched a printing company. I launched a design company. As soon as I have an idea, I launch it. My mother knows that. And she was like, you're launching all these ideas. Like, you always have, no matter if it fails or this. I remember what happened is that one day I launched my company in printing press, actually in Cameroon. I was doing well in my country, not because of my mother, not because of my family, because of the same mindset that even in my country I was doing well. So in my country, I remember in Cameroon, I had a job, because I always tell people, don't stay in your house and think that your work, because I always say your work is your purpose. Think that your work will be financed by somebody else outside. It starts by you. And so better get a job that will help you finance your work. And while you're at your job, know that this is the time for my job. Once you come back from your job, instead of watching TV most of the time, me, I go back to my work. and I do my work. So even back home, I was successful. So that same mindset I brought to the US, but back home I was. I remember I launched my first company, and it failed, and I closed it, and I launched another one, and it failed, and I closed it. And my fifth company I actually launched was called Foposi Enterprise. That's my family name. Even though I don't have it, it's called Foposi Enterprise. I remember I launched a company that was a printing press company, and I remember I started the company, the business with like one computer and all this, and I kept working, and I ended up having an office space where I could do my things and all these. First of all, I want to say my mother wasn't financing me whenever I gave her the idea. She only enter when she have seen that I have started the business and the business is bringing client. If not, she's not even there. She'll be like, you and your thousand ideas, because I know you always have ideas. But she still always say, what I love with you is that once you have your idea, you establish it. You don't need anybody to intervene. You establish it directly. And when I see that fire, it pushes me to help you, because she's not doing the same with my sisters. She doesn't always do that with them. But with me, she said, I see that in you. You have that consistency that I love. So I remember I started as I said, that story on my printing press company. I remember it was December. I was going to buy one. I took some money. I lent some money to go and buy one big machine that I needed actually for to produce a certain quantity of polo shirt that I needed for this order. I remember on the way to buy the machine, thieves stole the money, and I was in a taxi, and I was thrown out of the taxi. I think that was the worst period of that was where the transition really, really came, because
Mm.
I was devastated. I had to pay back that money. I could not do that order, and I had no money. And I remember from that day, that was 2021. From that day, I had in my mind that though I was depressed, I was like, I have to pay this money. I finally could pay it back. I remember in May 2020, uh, it was in 2020, so I finally could pay it back in May 2021. And I remembered I went to the Lord. I said, why? I'm a good child. Why would this happen to me? Like, I'm good. I'm good enough that this should never happen to me. And I remember the Lord told me something. It's like, if you let this bring you down, your greater challenge will come your way. This is just a little challenge. You have to learn from it while you're still down. Is the best place to learn, because once you're up there, to learn will be so difficult. So I remember, and I remember I told myself, if God says this is a learning ground, I have to stand up back. I remember I stood up, but my mother was just amazed. Say, I've never seen this kind of person. You don't get depressed, you don't get tired. I'm like, I can't, because the purpose and the vision is stronger than the person. So I could not. And from that day, I still keep getting places to places. People may be amazed, but I know I always tell them I have a story that not everybody will want to pass through the same thing I went through, but it's amazing. I hope I answered your question. Thank you, Umi.
Oof. Okay. Anybody else have a question for Suzy? Oh my gosh, Suzy. Yes, go ahead, Jackie.
Well, my first question is, what was the first word in the Heroes podcast? I couldn't get it. You said it twice, but I still didn't get it.
It's the untold story of extraordinary farmers.
Oh, no, it's something heroes.
Oh, harvest heroes.
Habit, say, spell
Harvest,
it.
harvest,
Oh,
Harvest.
harvest.
harvest
Yes,
heroes.
Okay, that
harvest
makes
heroes.
sense.
I think I
Okay.
wrote a song about it. It's on YouTube.
Beautiful. And Suzy, we will definitely promote your podcast. So you have to let us know as soon as it's
Yeah.
there. We will be.
Oh, it's not there yet.
No, it
Yeah,
Ah,
it is not,
okay.
it is we have the flyer already, the song.
Okay.
I recently wrote the song of the podcast, and I think it's out already. So now we are working on having a specific date. We already have the list of farmers that we are going to interview, but we're working on having a specific date to actually launch it. I think once I'll come back from the journey, then we are going to talk about launching the program.
wonderful.
Okay.
Absolutely wonderful.
That's beautiful. I
Okay.
just love your comments. If you're still down, it's the best place to learn. That's beautiful. And the other is your vision is stronger than the person. And yet you still move through it. Those are beautiful thoughts. And obviously why and how you are doing that to show all the 8 other siblings exactly how to do it. And yeah, it's just kind of fascinating. I love it. I'd like to know more about, and it's not enough time to do that, but what your training really is. Is it very much like Carol's, but it's actually focusing more on agriculture? Is that leadership toward agriculture? What is the training literally?
And thank you for that question. Carol's training is more on the mindset.
Yeah.
That is why I loved it. I love the mindset part. I am not targeting the mindset part. I am targeting unleashing that potential in you. Carol is targeting, first of all, it all starts by what you think. It
Right.
doesn't start by just unleashing it. That's why when I saw Carol program, I was like, this is what I need for the youths. Like I am telling them how to unleash it, but Carol is telling them it all starts by the brain. Everything is in your
Okay. So
mind.
how to
And so
process. Okay.
yes, my program is on unleashing that leader in you.
Oof.
That once you
Okay.
have the right mindset, now we need to unleash that leader in you by finding your purpose. And it's not only about farming. It is about finding your purpose. If your purpose is to be open, what is that? I always tell people, what is that dream that you had when you were a child? What were you telling to your father? I was telling my mother that I'm going to be a big businesswoman all around the world. And I kept saying it to my mother was even angry with me. She was like, businesswoman around the world, how will it start? I tell her that don't worry, I am a big businesswoman. So that same mindset, we want to bring it back to life, that childhood dream. That is what we do. And our training, once it reveals your purpose, we don't want to let you suffer. We have suffered. We don't want you to suffer through it. We have suffered to find the right people and the right thing. We want to be able to give you that environment with the right mentors that will be able to
Okay.
open your mindset to more ideas. You say, okay, I want to open
Okay.
a bakery. We have people in our communities that are not farmers, that are
Okay.
actually working in the
Okay.
business world, actually in baking, maybe in other
Okay.
other thing than farming.
Yeah. Got
But
it.
farming is always a start. Even if you are a baker, you need flour, you know
Yeah.
certain things that always come from the land.
Got
But
You.
it.
yes, we once we teach them who they really are and they are able to express that potential, they go now to the Agriculture Expo, Africa, that is all about farming. But we also have a training of empowering women in agriculture and technology. As another program, we have the youth coding workshop that was for youth that are interested in coding and getting more about how can I code, how can I do this. We have programs like this, and we have the climate information service. This is for the farmers. How
You.
can I use
Beautiful.
climate in my favor and
Oh,
all this? But we have all this program, and I said we still have the harvest heroes because we must show our heroes. Like we must show them. Yeah, we don't want to keep them for ourselves. Want to present them to the world. So that is what
Beautiful.
I Code Sport
Beautiful.
actually does.
Beautiful.
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 Oh
Beautiful.
my goodness. Okay. Anybody else have a question for her? Yes, Byron. Come.
Oh, thank you so much, Susie. This is so inspiring. Um, what we do is we help people with vision and purpose, really with the entire vision for your entire life and how your business or your organization fits into that expression of your wholeness, right? And I think all of us can agree that we can have a vision and we can be clear on our purpose, but it's all of that old programming that we grew up with and that was reinforced that where we end up getting in our own way because of the way that we believe, right? How do you support people or how do you help them get beyond that space so that they are doing their own inner work that will help to reinforce where they're going as opposed to where they've been told they can only be? Right? How do you help them to open up and to stay open and to keep moving forward?
Thank you, Megina, for that question. That is very important. And I would say before YEA came into place, because we were doing it before YEA came into place, I always I always share my story to people so that they should know actually where I come from. I come from the same environment. And most of them they think I don't come from the same environment. I'm very simple, I'm very open, and I always tell them I was there. Exactly where you are right now, I was actually there. And I come from there. And if I'm here now, I can tell you how I came out from there. And I address some issues like how can I focus on that picture? Like when you dream, you see yourself in the future, you see that big person. Like, how can I focus on that and keep away from distraction no matter? And people will tell you, oh, it's different for your case. You were not hungry. I tell them that is not different from my case. I stayed in Cameroon. I know the reality of being in Africa. So there's not story you can tell me that will change my situation. And still from Africa, that a lot of people from Africa, even when they travel around the world, Africa doesn't get out of them. The mentality is still in them. They are still the same failures they were in Africa. They are still, and I always tell people, it's not about where you are. You can excel in that village until people be asking you, are you okay? Are you sure you're from the village? It's all about how do you think? How do you see yourself? If you keep seeing yourself like that big woman, as I did, I always told my mother that the plane will be my taxi, and she was laughing at me. But now that it's a reality, she says, okay, let me sit. And now that it becomes a reality, she said, let me sit and learn from you. Because at a certain point, we thought that we knew, but some people come to and give us another version of it. Let me sit and learn from you. How did the plane become your taxi? And I tell her, you remember when I used to tell you every time, mommy, and you were telling me to shut up. I did not shut up. And now the plane is, I did not close my mouth, and now the plane is my taxi, and I can impact other people and bring them to that same dimension. And that's my heart cry. I don't want, and I always, people would say, why don't you work for money? Why don't you do your job for your work for money? And I'm like, if the money comes, it comes, but that's not my purpose. I really want the youth, because if I'm the only one that is rich, I will suffer. I will suffer because of what? A lot of people want to come to me and draw for me and take money from me. I will not be at rest. But what if I give them that secret that made me to be at this place? Then I can eat my money and enjoy my money and with my family instead of thinking of how to help others with money. I always tell people money. If somebody helps you with money all the time, then the person doesn't love you. The person doesn't love you. Because if I love you enough, instead of giving you money, I will give you the secret to be able to have, to be able to produce money yourself. And that's what I'm giving back to you, the secret that made me be what I am. And I
Oh,
hope they get it and they actually believe in themselves enough to be those big businesswomen and big in NGOs tomorrow. And I always tell them, once they bring out an idea and they said, I want you to help me, I always tell them, I don't have a tree of money. I'm not going to help you with money. But what I'm going to help you with is presenting you to the right people and making your mindset grow to that level of, I'm not begging people to come to my enterprise. I am a big person, and I've worked that vision clear enough to attract people. So that's what we're actually working on. And that's how we were doing before
ah,
YA, but now you have YA, a chance. We are going now to the real part of Icon Expo. Thank you.
oh, wow. Suzy, oh, your story is so inspiring. You are going to just reach so many people. I cannot wait to put this out everywhere it can go, because it will inspire so many people. The Gen Zs.
The Gen Z generation.
That's
All
right.
of them.
Coming up right now, and they are your story is going to inspire them to step up and take on what it is they want in their lives. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, everyone, today. The questions were amazing. The story was so, oh my gosh, so inspiring. And guys, this is why we do this podcast, is that we want to shine the spotlight on women who are out there making huge differences for so many people. And guys, every one of us, every woman out there has their own story, and that story can be very inspiring for people. So please, if you would like to be a guest on this podcast, please reach out to one of us. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us all over social media. We're everywhere. Please reach out to us and let us know you'd like to share your story with everyone. Thank you so much, Suzy. Guys, this is episode 5. Please, if you loved this story, please like it. Please share it. Please comment on it. And please subscribe so we can get it out to more and more people. Thank you so much for today. And we have another episode on Friday for somebody else that's going to inspire you. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
When we stand